Brothers and sisters, we are approaching the first Sunday of Lent, and for centuries now the first Sunday of Lent has been marked by reading the Gospel of the temptation of Christ in the desert. It's an extraordinary story, it's an unexpected story. Christ has been baptized in the River Jordan by the prophet John. He has begun his public mission in the power of the Holy Spirit. And what does the Holy Spirit do? Takes him immediately into the wilderness, through the wilderness, says St. Luke, to be tempted by the devil and to fast. The preface of the Mass for the first Sunday of Lent says how Jesus has consecrated by his time in the wilderness, by his fast, the pattern of our Lenten observance. Now, it's perhaps worth thinking a little more deeply about his time in the wilderness. Jesus was never afraid, we know this most of all from the cross, to go into the dark places of human experience. He is God made man. He came down to us to share our fate. He was tempted like us in every way, but without sin. And he goes into this wild Judean desert. He goes into solitude. He experiences hunger, and he experiences the testing, the temptations of the devil. At the beginning of biblical history, Adam and Eve are tempted and they fail. During their 40 years in the desert, the Israelites are tried and they falter. Jesus meets the evil one head on and he conquers. It is remarkable. He reverses human history. There's a story of the French cardinal, Jean-Marie Lustiger. He was being interviewed, and the interviewer asked him, "Do you believe in the devil?" And he replied, "I have seen him." And the interviewer was rather taken aback by this and said, "How? Where?" He said, "In Auschwitz." There is a darkness in human history which goes beyond the merely human, and there can sometimes be disturbances, darknesses, depressions, unhappinesses, uncertainties, disorders in ourselves which don't simply have the usual emotional, psychological explanations. It's a traditional Christian teaching that we have three enemies: the world, the flesh, and the devil. We are at war, says St. Paul, not with flesh and blood, but with the spiritual hosts of wickedness. Lent is a reminder of this. And yet, from Christ, from his time in the desert, from his victory over Satan, when he adhered so loyally to his Father's will, from his obedience on the cross, we have been empowered to ourselves share in his victory. Let us put it this way: he shares his victory with us. This is our victory over the world, says St. John, our faith. By clinging to Christ, the victor, the one who overcomes all that threatens and oppresses us, by clinging to him, we share in his victory. That victory we look forward to celebrating at Easter.